But knowing that you don't have now this type of player, this caliber of player, hurts PSV. It hurts PSV in the immediate because you're not going to have him for those knockout rounds, and it hurts Ricardo Pepi because of what's coming. He's 6 weeks away from being the guy, the starter for the U.S. men's national team in a semifinal against Panama. So this is worst case scenario for Ricardo Pepi. And what's terrible here is, I know that you said 1 to 3 months, but the reason nobody can give you a definitive timeline, and I've been there, because they got to open that knee up. They got to see what's in there. Yeah. I've gone through ACLs. I've gone through meniscus. I've gone through cartilage. I've been in this situation where you ask, how long, doc? How much time? What are we looking at? Here's a ballpark. We won't know until we open you up and we see the damage. I think this is where he is, and it's the worst possible moment.
He's asking that question. PSV is asking that question. USMNT is asking that question. So let's dive deep into that, because just on Monday, we were having this conversation about you choosing Ricardo Pepi over Josh Sargent. We were having the conversation about how the strikers for USMNT have been very limited at this time. So what does this mean at the national level for Pepi and for Pochettino?
For Pepi, I'm just so frustrated for Ricardo Pepi, because if you look at his trajectory with the U.S. men's national team, it was supposed to be him at the World Cup.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be Ricardo Pepi, the 9 at the World Cup. It wasn't. And here he is again. And then it's Folarin Balogun, he's going to be the guy. It's Josh Sargent, he's going to be the guy. It's Haji Wright, he's going to be the guy. Well, guess what? Josh Sargent was injured. He just came back from injury. Haji Wright this week will start coming back from injury. Folarin Balogun won't be ready, most likely, for the Nations League. Yeah. Daryl Dike, he's still, recovering from his second torn Achilles. Jordan Pefok's fallen off a cliff. We don't know anything about him. Brandon Vasquez, he's still in preseason. He was never really in the picture of those top 3-9. So it really felt like this is Ricardo Pepi's for the taking. We're on uncharted territory right here if you're a U.S. men's national team fan. You're going into this crucial semifinal, game against Panama, a team that I don't think is going to be easy, regardless of who's there. And now Folarin Balogun's not going to be there. Even if Josh Sargent is there, what kind of Josh Sargent do you get when he's with the national team? Will Haji Wright be ready? And if he is ready, has he played enough at the 9 position to fill Pochettino's eye and give him an opportunity there? Patrick Ajiman just debuted. Are you really going to go that route? Brandon Vasquez, has he ever really been that player for the U.S. men's national team? Jesus Ferreira, he got sent home when he was with the U.S. men's national team in January camp. I think we're in a situation where fans and Pochettino are going to have to start exploring, if Josh Sargent can't be that guy, a Timothy Weah at the 9 position. Yeah. That's what you're going to have to revert to. You got to go with Timothy Weah, who's got some expertise playing that 9 position, who offers you a lot of versatility in terms of getting behind defenses, those center backs, who has that goal-scoring prowess, at least this season, has proven it because he's played as a 9 for Juventus. That might be your go-to player there. But, man, I can't think of a situation with the U.S. men's national team where there have been so many 9s and nobody takes the helm. Nobody wants this position. It just, for whatever reason, Josh Sargent can't latch onto it. Folarin Balogun can't latch onto it. Haji Wright and Ricardo Pepi, the one guy who actually does something in that uniform,
that's injured.
It just eludes him.
Yeah. And we're talking about that semifinal that you mentioned against Panama. That's March 20th. If they win that match, 3 days later, they're going to be playing the final. So this is 2 games that Pochettino is going to have to just figure out what he has to do. But we just saw a January camp where he kind of had to figure it out as well. Has Pochettino had enough time to be able to solve this kind of problem?
Well, January camp is different because it's a different level to begin with. It's a different animal, different beast. You're obliged to fulfill this television contract and have this camp. It's not an official FIFA.
But maybe you had this camp to solve a problem that you have right now that's so unexpected.
I mean, I think it's a stretch if you're asking Patrick Ajiman to be that player right now. But I will tell you this, and you know how this goes. Sometimes these opportunities are given that way. Sometimes these opportunities unfold this way. I had a situation where I jumped into the national team. With Edson Buttle and Robbie Finley, found ourselves in a position because Eddie Johnson was injured, because Charlie Davies had an unfortunate, car crash. All these different factors came in at the same time to open up these positions for us to go to the World Cup. I was the number 9. I was number 9 on back of my jersey on a World Cup because all these factors came to fruition. So these things happen. If it happens for Patrick Ajiman, or if it happens for Haji Wright, or if it happens to Josh Sargent, and that's how they got their opportunity, one of them has to take advantage of this. That goes for Brandon Vasquez, and that goes for whoever the case may be playing at the 9 position, even if it is a Timothy Weah. This is an opportunity for somebody.
Yeah, it's definitely an opportunity that could eventually be for Ricardo Pepi as well. Speaking of opportunities for him, let's dive into a little bit what it would have meant for him to go from the Eredivisie to the Premier League. Is he ready, regardless of the injury or not, to make that jump?
Listen, goal scorers are goal scorers, right? I'd like to think that if you're put in a position to score goals, regardless of the level, as long as you're put in that position, goal scorers respond. I think Ricardo Pepi has that about him. He's got that sense in the box. He can smell, he can sniff out the play. He knows where to be. He's a good finisher, right foot, left foot with his head. His link-up play is getting better. But it's a massive jump from the Eredivisie to the Premier League. And we've seen this on so many different levels where it doesn't translate. At a managerial level, at the playing level, for a defender, for a forward. We saw with Antony when he was a $100 million player, goes from the Eredivisie to Man United, how that's cost him. Eric Ten Hag, these type of things. So while I would love to sit here and say I think he's up for the challenge, he can do it, my man just right now was trying to win a starting position at PSV. So it would have been a massive jump. But certainly a club like West Ham, other clubs in the Premier League, reported Liverpool as well in the past, they don't look your way if they don't see something. So there's something to build on there. But he doesn't have the body of work yet. But it doesn't mean he can't get there, and it doesn't mean he can't thrive there if he's given an opportunity.
Does he need the body of work to make that jump, though?
I think it's a steep jump.
Okay.
I think it's naive of us to sit here and say he couldn't start for PSV, but he's going to go in and tear it up for West Ham. He's going to go in and do well in the Premier League. I think this is one of those moments where the Eredivisie needs to do what the Eredivisie does and provide these players, a player like Ricardo Pepi, that platform to grow and to develop. But that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
And Ricardo Pepi was scoring goals at the Champions League level, and he's been scoring goals at the Champions League level. We're going to talk about Sergio Ramos in a bit. Sergio Ramos was on the field when Pepi, delivered a lethal blow to Sevilla and their chances in the Champions League when he comes off the bench, and he's one of the deciding factors of why PSV did well. So, in last year's Champions League. So, he's got that about him where he knows how to score goals, but there's more to being a goal scorer than just the goal scoring part. Is how can you get on the field and stay on the field? And oftentimes for goal scorers, young goal scorers, it's not just the goals you score.
Yeah, absolutely. The mentality for now for Ricardo Pepi will have to be to recover. But as you said, the swelling has to go down. The knee maybe just has to be opened up
to find out what's going on.
Yeah, to see the extent of this injury. But regardless, it's tough timing here for Ricardo Pepi, who at the end of the day, Herc, will want his spot in the 2026 World Cup.
He's still thinking about that. To this day, I know that he's thinking about that. He was supposed to be at that World Cup. Greg Berhalter took other forwards instead of Ricardo Pepi, who was, in terms of center forward, the highest goal-scoring center forward in that World Cup cycle. Only one player scored more goals than Ricardo Pepi, and that was Christian Pulisic, who's not a 9. And somehow Ricardo Pepi finds himself on the outside looking in, and I'm sure he's chomping at the bit to get a second chance at that. But these moments are few and far between. And I'm not just talking about the World Cup, I'm talking about these camps. Ricardo Pepi, in the eyes of many, has earned that opportunity. But if you leave that door open, regardless of how it's left open, somebody can walk through it.
Yeah, let's hope this is an isolated incident here for Ricardo Pepi and it's left in the past very, very soon.